and today I'm going to be discussing two of my favorite shonen manga and why they had just lackluster to like bad endings. And some prerequisites before I begin slandering these peak fictions, okay? These absolute phenomenal anime and manga is that mangakas they have a strict schedule. Like they are like dead ass like slaves. Like not to put it bluntly, but to put it bluntly, like they work like 7 days out the week and have like 16 hours work days, and like they barely eat and they barely shower. Like I'm gonna show you Tagashi room, which was disgusting, and I'm gonna show you Kishimoto work schedule so you can have a better grasp of like how demanding being a mangaka really is. But the first manga I would like to delve into is Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, Jujutsu Kaisen is my personal favorite new gen shonen, if not in my top five favorite shonens. Period. Like everything was perfect about it. The power system, the character interactions, the villains, everything was just French kiss, man. French kiss. Um, but let's go straight to the ending, cause like let's cut straight to the point. You feel me? So, um, the ending it starts off with Gojo versus Sukuna, which was a 10 out of 10 fight. I cannot hold Gege on that. That fight was crazy. How they bounced off each other, how the power system worked, and everything like that was phenomenal. Phenomenal. Even though Gojo's watching him for 99.99, actually 100% of that fight. I don't care what you got to say. Sukuna was literally calling out for his mommy and daddy, bro. Maharaga and Agato or whatever the other dude, the other bum ass curse name was, right? Literally calling out for him, right? But yeah, so Sukuna does a cheap ass move that kills Gojo after Gojo was quite literally putting BTA, belt to ass. Okay, like straight BTA to him. Like, kid you not, it was quite literally one of the worst beatings I've ever had the witness of reading, right? But Sukuna does that, right? He kills Gojo. He cuts him in half, right? And how they explain how he did, it was like, oh, I adapted to affinity, which was like dumb because it's like Maharaga was there, but he's like, I use Maharaga as a template, which was like, okay. I don't know how you caught off a full power amped Gojo after you took a hollow purple to the face and you were like on your deathbed, but whatever, bro, whatever. So, and then what really sours that ending of that fight, right? It wasn't Sukuna killing him. It was quite literally Gojo dying and going to the plane. Well, not going to the plane, but he dies, and it's like this inner like thought or whatever like this. It's like him going to the plane to reunite with his dead ass friends, his dead ass homies, right? And he's talking to them. He's like, "Yeah, I would have lost anyway, but I tried my best." Like this, first off, this is not Gojo. Secondly, it's like you quite literally put BTA. He was not stronger than you that entire fight. What are we talking about? This is straight nonsense, straight buffoonery, right? But then the very next fight we get is bum ass Kashimo versus Sukuna, right? Sukuna ends up getting fully revived with his body or whatever like that. Pretty cool looking design. I'm not gonna lie, Gege cooked with that design. But Kashimo comes down, mind you. Kashimo is hyped up throughout the last arc to be the third strongest in a verse or whatever like that, or some crazy like that, and he gets one shotted by Sukuna, and and what makes it so much worse is that he started glazing him. He was like, "Sukuna, you're so beautiful," as he gets killed, like you're so beautiful. But like I understand the plot significance of that because it's like he's not calling Sukuna outright beautiful. He uses it as like the peak of sorcery. Like everything about him is perfect, right? Still glazing, still insane glazing, but he's not calling him outright gorgeous. He's not talking about how his chin is chiseled and how he's 6'9" and you feel me? Like he's not saying that like that, but he's saying more so his powers, I guess, or whatever, or how his body is engineered for sorcery. But it's still like insane glaze. Somebody need to definitely sit down with Kashimo and be like, stop all that D riding, please, please, please. But after that, Sukuna runs a gauntlet on everybody, and he's completely demolishing them, like completely and utterly, like folding them, right? And throughout the whole fight, Sukuna is spamming these things called binding vows, right? And throughout the whole series, binding vows were pretty were something you use at like the last one when you had to. It basically like restricts to amplify a technique, you need to restrict either a technique or restrict your body from something. And Sukuna was just throwing these binding vows out, and absolutely nothing was happening to him. I don't think he even got weaker. I mean, you can pull up a panel where he's like, yeah, I feel a little bit weaker, but he literally did everything the exact same. Like, it was just crazy. And then a lot of other stuff that I didn't really like about the arc was that the addition to like these other characters being compared to Gojo. Like, every character that fought Sukuna was getting compared to Gojo. Like, even Higuruma, even though I love Higuruma, but he's like, you're reaching the level of Gojo. Like, bro, he just started fighting. Can you just please hop off his meat, please? Like, I understand he's strong, but you don't have a license for all that D-riding, please, right? But with that, Higuruma gets slapped too, and then like some other characters get beat up. Choso dies. I mean, who really cares about bum ass Choso? I'm sorry for you two Choso fans out there. I'm sorry, but nobody cares about bro. I'm sorry. And then as the fight is happening, right, we get two other fights, right? Well, one other fight really, because the other fight he quite literally just got like Kenjaku quite literally just got snuck. Like, that was the whole fight between Yuta and Kenjaku, him getting snuck. Right, that wasn't that bad, but I just had to throw that in there. But Hikari versus Urame, head nod. I'm literally nodding my head right now because Gege could have gave us one of the most funnest fights, because Hikari's such a fun character, because like he might not be as physically stronger than the people that he's fighting, but he has immortality, so he just can't go down. So like it would have just bounced off perfectly, but he quite literally off screens the fight. Hopefully the anime delves into it, but it's just like aggravating, like straight just aggravating, right? But then at the end, what makes it so much worse is that Gege brings back two fan favorite characters that had got either that got wrote out the story, right? Nobara and Toto. Now Toto isn't that bad. He just lost an arm, so it kind of makes sense why he's there, right? But Nobara, like how Gege was setting up Nobara after Shibuya incident is that she's either a vegetable or she's dead. No in between. Like, it's literally no in between. Like, she's either dead or a vegetable. Like, so it's quite literally like her being brought back for the last three chapters is actually horrendous. Like, she does something, I guess, like she does a little something, but it's just like, why would you add this character in with the last three chapters when you could have added her in the previous arc when it was a tournament arc? Like, a tournament arc, how her powers would have bounced off all the enemies and all the curse users would have been perfect. But they quite literally added her in the last three chapters for her to do nothing. Act like nothing happened. That is blasphemy. But you're thinking, okay, whatever, right? So then you get to UG domain expansion, right? So you like, okay, no way Gege can fumble this. He does. I'm sorry, he does. He quite literally have a domain expansion that's never explained. It's quite literally him and Sukuna taking a walk. They don't explain it. You have to watch a 20-minute deep dive on his domain expansion to understand it, because they don't explain it. I'm sorry. It just wasn't that intriguing to me. It just wasn't that good to me. It kind of just a cop out. Then the very last chapter, you get these new plot threads that Gege could have delved into, like the clan wars after Maki demolished her clan and slimed them out, wiped their nose. You feel me? Like, it was like a clan war that was going on. Gege could have delved into that, but he just ended the series on like a not cliffhanger, but like on a unanswered plot thread. But some positive takeaways from the ending is that Gojo versus Sukuna was a phenomenal fight, 10 out of 10. French kiss, mwah. And also how he didn't kill Maki off. Maki's my favorite character, and if you know Gege finger trigger be itching to kill your favorite character off. Itching to. So I'm glad he didn't kill her off. I'm about to go into a quick little Maki glazing session, right? I'm the number one Maki fan. I don't care what you gotta say. I am the arbiter of Maki. I have a Maki fan group where all we talk about is Maki. If there was no more Maki fans, I will be dead because I'm the biggest one. But yeah, besides that, I give the ending like a 5 out of 10. But the next on our chopping board is Yu Yu Hakusho. Now, Yu Yu Hakusho, personally, my favorite shonen manga of all time. I got it above JJK and One Piece. If you don't know, One Piece is my favorite shonen. I'll be making videos about that soon. But everything about Yu Yu Hakusho was perfect. The introduction of Yusuke, the side characters, the best tournament arc, and in my personal opinion, the most underrated shonen arc of all time, which is the chapter Black. Super underrated. I really recommend the series, but the ending, I would say, is the worst offender. I think the ending is terrible, especially in the manga. And the anime is not that bad. But yeah, so let's jump right into this, right? So the ending arc starts with the aftermath of Chapter Black. Like Yusuke basically loses his mind and becomes a demon due to his ancestral father taking over his body and killing the main antagonist of the last arc, right? So then Yusuke goes to hell to find himself, basically to understand himself a little bit more. And yeah, so it picks up with Yusuke going to hell with it's a hell is split into 3 portions, right? It's 3 kings. It's Ryzen, which is Yusuke father, Yomi, and Mokaru. All right, and they all own like portions of hell, I guess you can say. And Ryzen was like known as the strongest one, but he's dying or whatever like that because he don't eat humans because he's pussy whipped him. Sorry, my goat pussy whipped from like a girl from 1,000 years ago or whatever like that. But yeah, so the whole arc is basically like a tug of war between all 3 trying to gain control of hell. Now, originally, Togashi wanted to do a full blown hell arc. He wanted to delve into hell, the lore, and stuff like that. But the editors at Shonen was like, "No, you have to do a tournament arc because the Dark Tournament was the best arc of all time," which I understand. But I feel like Togashi can cook a lot. You feel me? So I feel like they should just let Togashi do his original plan because this tournament arc definitely was his get back. Because this shit was terrible, and on top of that, I think that he didn't have no love for her no more. He was he kept on getting chronic back problems. She was always super sick from riding this shonen and just everything of that sort. But let's jump into some of my gripes with this last arc, right? Firstly, the tournament is introduced in like 5 chapters, right? So previously, Yusuke fights his father, and his father dies or whatever like that. So basically, Hill is about to go into chaos because one of the biggest powers died. So now the other 2 Demon Kings are going to try to take his territory. So Yusuke immediately after his father dies goes to talk to Yomi and was like, "We should do a tournament, right?" You think everything fine and dandy. You know Togashi's gonna cook with any arc he does. You know his tournament arcs he never misses, right? I'm sorry to tell you this. So he goes to talk to Yomi about it. Yomi agrees to it and everything of that sort. So then the tournament arc happens, right? And I'm not gonna lie, the tournament arc lasts for like 3 chapters, like no BS. It's introduced. Yusuke goes to Yusuke fights a bunch of bums. Yomi fights his nepo baby or whatever like that. Yeah, throughout this arc, Yomi has a nepo baby who is just basically a clone of him, but he's raising him or whatever like that. So Yomi fights him. Yusuke fights a bunch of bums, right? And it fast forwards a lot of fights, right? So it goes from like the first preliminaries to like Yusuke versus Yomi off rip, right? Now you're like, okay, when you want to see a tournament arc, you want to see everybody else fight, but you like, you know what? Like let's rush straight to the ending. It's cool, whatever, like that. You don't have to see everything, right? So like you give it some time. You give it some time to marinate. You like, all right, cool, right? So then the Yusuke versus Yomi, the biggest fight in this arc, right? It's been getting hyped up ever since the beginning of this arc, right? That fight lasts for a chapter, right? And they only get a few exchanges in, And the most terrible part about this tournament, like I say, the most terrible part is that the next chapter opens with Kuwabara being like, Yusuke, didn't you lose the tournament arc? Like didn't you lose the tournament? Like, what do you mean he lost? Yusuke was like, oh well, me and Yomi both lost, and like this random bum ass nigga that was Rising friend or whatever like that. I swear, yeah, fat bum lame nigga became king. They never explained how. They never explained how Yusuke and Yomi still mated each other. That's why the anime did the last arc a little bit better, right? And I'm like, wow, right? And these are like one of the last three chapters to the series. So you like, damn, like everything just got off screen. It's like unfulfilling. So then after that, we pick up with like slice of life moments, like Yusuke actual father makes an appearance, even though he was not here the whole series, and he was talking to like Yusuke mom, and it's a pretty funny interaction. I know it's not supposed to be funny, but it's just like, why would you write this in? Yusuke mom is basically like, we should get back together, and bro is like, well, I used to beat the fuck out you, so I don't want to do that again. Like, I kid you not, that's like the whole interaction of those characters. Like, they could have done so much more with that. Like, I don't even know why he even chose to even add his father in when they already added in Rising. So it was like just a waste of time. And then after that, the second to last chapter is quite literally, they introduce this like this terroristic organization that wants to destroy Hell for valid reasons. Them niggas is demons, I'm sorry. But yeah, so they want to destroy Hell, and they was never mentioned before, ever mentioned before, and they kidnap Koenma somehow, whatever like that. And Yusuke in the game goes on their last mission to stop them, and then basically the whole manga ends just like that. Essentially, they have a cool slice of life moment. Now, that's how it ends, and I'm gonna have to give the ending to that like a 2 out of 10. I know the JJK ending was a little bit more in depth, but quite literally, Yu Yu Hakusho ending literally had nothing to talk about. Like, quite literally, just like 10 chapters of straight mid. But granted, you have to give Togashi some slack. He didn't want to write it no more, especially with his editors being on his head, and on top of being sick, and on top of that strict work schedule. I'm gonna add in Togashi living space, I believe, during Yu Yu Hakusho, because that shit is horrendous. Now, we ain't gonna blame Yu Yu Hakusho for how Togashi was living, because he was living in pure filth. He was looking like a New York subway station. Like, his crib was looking like a New York subway station. It was terrible, right? But yeah, just a lot of that just made the ending just quite mediocre, right? But I will say, this is the part where I talk about the anime ending. I really enjoyed it because some of the characters got to fight. I say a notable one was like Hiei versus Mokaru. That was pretty good. You get to see Yusuke versus Yomi, and it actually, the one thing about the anime, it actually goes kind of in depth with Yusuke character, because Yusuke fights Mokaru, and he's like, mid fight, he's like, what am I fighting for? Like, he just been doing it just to do it, because he has like he's basically, that's all he knows is fighting. So he's like, what am I even fighting for? And I really think that was a really good moment from Yusuke, and whoever did the last arc for Yu Yu Hakusho in the anime really hit, because I really enjoyed that ending. Granted, I knew it was rushed, because I'm like, all right, this seemed very rushed, but it was way better than the manga. Then I think like the last episode is also executed better than the last chapter of the manga. So I'll say, honestly, if you want to experience Yu Yu Hakusho, this is the only time I will recommend the anime over the manga. Now, granted, the manga does have more scenes added in, more darker scenes, especially in Mukuro. Mukuro backstory is messed up. I'm not going to explain it here because I don't want to get demonetized or whatever, but if you're interested, look up her backstory, because it is terrible. But yeah, so all in all, like, these are two of my favorite mangas of all time, and it just sucks how they have lackluster ending. Now, this is more so a gripe on, I'll say it's like 3 gripes. I'll say this is more so shonen strict schedule, number 1. Number 2, their health. The demanding health of just writing a weekly shonen is just really taxing on you, like very, very taxing on your mental and physical, right? And then like the third, I feel like they kind of like, it's the editors, but I also feel like they write themselves into a corner at a certain point. Like, they know where they want to go with the ending, but they don't know how to execute it. And I feel like that's what a lot of shonen mangas go through, honestly. But yeah, these are my two favorite mangas, and yeah, peace out, man. Be smooth.